Assalamu alaikum everyone, how's it going? This is Ashraf Najib Khalifa. I'm 31 years old. I live in London in the United Kingdom. I'm the CEO and founder of Sudanpreneur. And today I've got a very special guest, Nafisa, who is the founder of the Instagram page Women of Sudan. And we're going to be having a nice discussion about women in Sudan. Hello, intellectual, how's it going? Sanosi, how's it going? What's happening, bro? All right, so basically, Women of Sudan is now in the house. I'm just gonna get her. All right, she's giving me a request. Perfect. All right, we're just waiting for her to come. Inshallah. Assalamu
Hi,
alaikum.
nice to
How's it
see
going?
you.
Nice to see you
Alhamdulillah.
as well.
How are you doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. Can't complain. Alhamdulillah. What about yourself?
Great. Yeah, Alhamdulillah. Tamam, tamam.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad the connection's good as well. That's what's up. So
Great.
you excited as me?
Yeah, of course.
That's good. Just gonna pin the comment. So it's women in business. All right, perfect. All right, so do you wanna seeing as you're the woman and I'm the the guy, do you wanna give a bit of a introduction about the
Of
topic?
course. Yeah, so hi to everyone that doesn't know me. My name is Razana Shazali and I am the woman behind Women in Sudan. And I'm so excited today. We're talking about women in business with the one and only Sudanpreneur. And if you're here from my side and you don't know his account, basically he uses his platform to like promote entrepreneurship in Sudan, which is why it's really, really important to talk about women specifically. And of course, especially in post-revolution Sudan, we all have access to the internet. And alhamdulillah, there are so many people, starting their own businesses and becoming creative. So yeah, that's why it's important to talk about it today.
All right, perfect. You're right. I'm struggling at the moment to pin the comment, so
Mhm.
we'll get to that at
It's
some
all
point,
right.
inshallah. All right, so
Great.
perfect. Yeah, so I've been working on Sudanpreneur for quite a while, and I know through my work I've managed to inspire a lot of people, and I know like a lot of girls in particular. I've seen a lot of women, and the thing is like when people talk to me about entrepreneurship and stuff, they always make it focused on business and stuff. But
Hmm.
for me, the way I see it, it's not even business because like when you go out to go for a job interview, you need to sell yourself, right? So that I'd say that's entrepreneurship. And then the other thing as well, like Sudanese people, we're so modest. We don't really talk about our success, so we really struggle about that. So yeah, so I think Sudanese excellence, I equate that with Sudanese entrepreneurship. And anything that's shining a light on Sudan, giving it an identity, getting people talking about it. So
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. So obviously my bio doesn't do you justice. So can you tell us a bit about your platform and like what Sudanpreneur does?
Okay, perfect. So originally I started Sudan Hub, and well, to be honest, I have to go back a little bit further. So I know I
Hmm.
graduated with a degree in technology entrepreneurship, and I graduated from the University of Surrey in 2010. And basically, like in 2010, no one really knew what entrepreneurship was. So every time I met someone, I had to explain to them what entrepreneurship was, right? And
Hmm.
then when we get to the end of what entrepreneurship is, they always be like, "Oh, so do you have to study that, or is that something you?" So yeah. And then the second thing they'd be like, "Okay, so when are you going to set up your own business, right?" So I was like, "Right." So the biggest problem for me I faced living in England and recently graduating, and also because my dad used to work for UNICEF, so I grew up in Jordan, Kenya, Denmark, Indonesia. So
That's cool.
the global struggle was what Sudan was, where it was. You know what I mean? So I decided to solve both problems. I set up Sudan Hub, and it's like the aim was to set up a platform to basically educate people about Sudan and show Sudan in a better light. And then this was in 2011. And then in 2013, 14, basically I had a lot of setbacks, a lot of issues, but I was advised to get like a business mentor. So when I went to talk to people about my idea with Sudan Hub, um, they told me, no, 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 you need to find someone that's Sudanese. And then I was thinking, like, to be honest, there's not really like a Sudanese business district or Sudanese business people. Like,
Hmm.
so I really struggled with that. So then I started doing a bit of research. And then also like my mom's side of the family, like my great grandfather, mom's grandfather was Babi Kid Bedri. So he set up the like Ahfad University, he set up the schools. So like, there's a lot of amazing people in my family, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I started Sudanpreneur by starting to document them. And then after that, like I have to give a big shout out to Ola Diab because like she does so much amazing work. And then she's got her blog. So
Mm-hmm.
after that, I started finding a lot of different people. And then I was like, you know what, like we need to start promoting like events and stuff like that. And then yeah, so like it's just about showcasing anything that's so it's like a platform where anyone that's like successful or doing something, I try to promote, I try to showcase.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, yeah, people don't really ask me to share it because to be honest, when I share I share most stuff like 2 seconds after person posts it, which is good. But
Okay.
yeah, so that's like my journey with Sudanpreneur. But so I saw one of the questions. They said, how long have I been living
Mm-hmm.
in London?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been living in London since 2006, and that's about
You still
14
got an
years.
American
Well, that's
accent
the thing.
still
Like when I
very
came here,
strong.
like I had 1 year left of school, and I went to an American school. So I graduated from the American school in London, and then from there I went to uni in Surrey. But my dad was living in Denmark, so like all my holidays I'd go to Denmark. And then in 2010, 11, my
Mm-hmm.
dad retired, and we moved to London. So I've been chilling in London ever since. So yeah, shout out to London people.
That's great. So my next question is on your platform. I see you do like weekly interviews and like you send people questions and then they like you interview them to get to know them. So I want to know, um, obviously you interview a lot of women in this series. So can you tell us a bit about that, like what you've noticed with female entrepreneurs?
Okay, so no, originally I started this thing. It was in 2000, I think it was 2016 when I started. And I remember the first, like, obviously I had to do it myself because I don't really want to ask people to and do something I wouldn't do. And then also,
Hmm.
and it also gives them an example if they wanted to, like, you know,
Yeah.
add stuff or base whatever they wanted to write on. So like, the, one of the two first people I did was Asil Diab and Razan Ahmed. So and it's actually quite interesting to see like since 2016 like what they've done now. Um,
Hmm.
and then basically just before the coronavirus lockdown, so the beginning of 2020, um,
Hmm.
I was doing a master's program at Middlesex University, and I got involved with the radio station. So I know because I'm part of the entrepreneurship society at the university. So I set up a weekly radio show talking about any successful Sudanese people and a little bit about entrepreneurship. So I managed to get like about 9 weekly episodes,
Hmm.
and then Corona hit. So
Yeah.
when I got back, um, I noticed a lot of people were doing lives, but for me, like my thing, I don't really like to follow the crowd. I always try to do things a different way.
Mm.
So I remember I had my interview. I was like, okay, you know what? Like, let me start. Let me get people to start writing interviews and stuff.
Hmm.
And I reached out to a lot of people. Um, and then also the other thing as well, like when you're preparing a campaign or when you're doing something, the worst thing is to run out of content. You know what I mean? So I made sure I had like at least 30 interviews ready before I even started like releasing. And then I managed to get like someone to help me with the weekly poster and stuff like that. But yeah, to go back, I noticed there are a lot of women, and yeah, and there's a lot of insight I've gained and reading the interviews and stuff like that. And to be honest, is you know what I'm gonna do? Like for me, like
Hmm.
Ola Diab is the one that really helped me start this stuff. You know what I mean? So I'm just gonna talk about like the women that she talked about. I think that
Okay.
would be fair. Because, yeah, and once you start mentioning people, then it gets you down like a slippery slope. But I have to give first shout out. Like I, I think my sister is probably my biggest inspiration. My sister is like a year and a half older than me. Wait, there's another question. Is it
Hmm.
hard finding content, especially when? But like to be honest, I think that is one of the biggest challenges because people. Yani, whenever I ask someone to write something, like, actually forget that. Whenever someone asks me to post something, you know what I mean? I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, just give me something. You know what I mean? Because to be honest, and
Okay.
I'm like got that Sudanese mentality actually. Yeah, and I take yeah, I like to chill. You know what I mean? Like I'd rather you do it, and then that way, like you do it the right way. Because
Yeah.
that's the reason why a lot of graphic design hasn't really changed. There's a lot of creative people in Sudan. The problem is like, and the other people, the client, you know what I mean? They're not as great. But I don't know. But let me talk about 20 young Sudanese that I think that you should, or rather, I think Ola Diab thinks you should. All right.
Okay.
So the first one is Yasmin Abdel Majid. So a
Yeah.
lot of like of these people, I actually know their story because I wrote about them.
Mm.
So I give like my own insight. And let me actually start with the funniest story in the world. All right. So imagine, and I was on my way to my university, and basically I was meant to go give a talk with someone else about like international students and how like you go from like
Mhm.
graduating to student stuff like that, right? So I get to the station in Waterloo in London, and then I'm in the queue. I go buy my ticket, and then I'm about to leave, and I see the Sudanese guy, the Sudanese girl. I kind of heard them as I was in the queue. So I went, I was like, yo, Wagwan, how's it going? Salam, inshallah,
Wow.
Gracie, mom. And then they were good. I was like, enjoy your holiday. And then I left, right? And then like about
Okay.
2, 3 weeks later, I get this message from Ola. She was like, yo, on Sudanpreneur, she was like, yo, were you at like Waterloo Station like a couple of
Mhm.
weeks ago? And I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then it turns out like I met Ola and I spoke to her and we had a bit of a conversation, but we didn't even know who it was. And that's the only time I ever like ever met her.
Oh my God, I didn't
But
even know.
oh, it's mad. But Yasmin Abdel Majid, she's like a Sudanese Australian girl.
Mhm.
She's amazing. She did engineering, and then she won this like award. Like she's done so much amazing stuff. I think you guys need to check her out. Um, the next person is Maha Jafar. To be honest, like I've posted her, but I don't really know too much about her.
Like she's a
Um,
household name now. Like even my dad like came to be like, "Oh, Daddy for Didi," and I'm like, "Yeah." So yeah.
exactly. The thing is, I don't want to give the surprise away. I want people to go to Ola Diab's blog and go read the
Mhm.
stories and do their own research. And then you've got Dali Haj Omar, and then you've got Hadil. I know Hadil because her father was like the most amazing Sudanese businessman. Like, and then his wife as well. She's got the royal care, like the breast. Sorry, not royal care. She got the breast cancer thing,
Okay.
but she's
Mhm.
like she won this award as well. Then you've got Nasreen Malik. You've got Sarah Suleiman. You've got the sisters Yusra and her sister that are killing it in the journalism world, Nerma and Yusra. And then you've got Andrea Magazine as well. Like big shout out to Andrea Magazine. You've got the two co-founders. You've got Umnia Shaukat and Salma Amin. And then you've got Britain being represented. A real good friend of mine, May Khidir. She's the founder of Al Sudania Mentoring. She's
Mhm.
done
That's cool.
yeah. So basically, we did a lot of like collaborations before she went and set it up. So I know quite a lot about her thing. And then we've
Mhm.
got another amazing legend. I don't know if you guys know the real story about Asma al Badawi, but Asma al Badawi, she's like from Leeds, another British young Sudanese queen. So basically, before when you were playing basketball, you weren't allowed to wear hijab, right? And it was a big
Okay.
problem for people that were hijabin. So basically, Asma, along with a bunch of her friends, they went and they campaigned to FIFA international basketball thing, and they got them to change the law.
Mhm.
So now you're allowed to wear hijab. And then also she's a Adidas brand ambassador as well.
I
So
saw
big
that.
shout out to her. The next one I actually do know as well. So Safia Al Hilo, big shout out to her. So like when she first came to my attention, this was a long time ago. This was when she was, imagine, 14 years old. She
Wow.
wrote and published a book of poetry, right? It was insane. And then after that, like I know she's been on a couple of lives and stuff like that, and she's got like a lot of Instagram followers as well. So she's absolutely killing it. And I know she got married as well recently. Um, and then you've got Reem Abbas, and then you've got Sarah Al Hassan. She's like another huge like
Mhm.
Instagram or Beast on Blast thing, like it's updates and news and stuff. You've got Muga Al Tijani, and then you've got Rihan Fagili. She's also like killing it. She used to work for like one of the big American companies, and then she decided to leave, and she set up her own thing called Apt Deco. So she's like absolutely killing it. Big on entrepreneurship as well. You got Huda Shafiq. You've got Yusra Sadiq. So she's actually got an interesting story because she's her sister's married to my cousin, and basically she lives in Wales. Like
Okay.
her brother-in-law came to visit.
That's the typical
Like they
Sudani
wanted
story.
us to
Like, oh
go,
yeah,
yeah,
her
they wanted us to
cousin's
go visit them
brother
in
is
Wales,
married
but like
to.
I've never been to Wales. And then
Yeah.
basically like yeah, so he introduced me to her like virtually, but I don't know if I'm ever in Wales and if you ever need like because she's an award-winning designer, so if you ever need any like fashion stuff, like
Mashallah.
you definitely go to Yusra. And then Imtihan Mahmoud, another amazing like from Dhaka. Then you've got Asil Diab. Obviously, she has to write about her sister. Come on, but to be fair, Asil Diab, Sudallah.
I didn't know they were sisters until really recently.
Are you serious? Yeah, I've
Yeah.
actually met Asil and chilled with her in Sudan. The last time I
Okay.
was there. And then she's also got some honorable mentions as well. So I'll just go through that real quick. So you've got Wafa Al Amin, another like huge queen. You know, I love because for me, I'm especially interested in women in entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
So she set up something called the Zola and Zola Club, which is somewhere in like Riyadh, Al Masjid, something like that. 'Cause for me, I'm Umdurman. I'm not really a big fan of Khartoum,
That's
but
crazy.
like do go stay in Khartoum. We've got an apartment in Lebanon, so I try not to leave in Lebanon.
Mhm.
But I mean, she set up this thing. Like what I really liked, she did like these courses, and then she's also had this concept of a library. But the thing is, if you wanted to be part of the library, you had to donate at least 10 books.
Okay.
Because you know, to these people and borrowing, I don't think they're very good at.
Right.
The next person is Risha Sheikh Khaddin. So she's she's a Sudanese jazz musician. And then you've got
That's cool.
Azza Shami, a writer and researcher. You've got Mayada Abdu, she's a Jazeera presenter. You've got Najla Saleh, aka Nubia Queen. She's a poet and blogger. And you've got another director and editor called Sada Idris. And then Hajar Osman, big shout out to her. She's another entrepreneur I see. She set up Hawaj Azza Digital Magazine, and she set up an amazing
Yes.
platform. And I know she just joined us as well, so big shout out to her. And then you've got Dara Naeem, and then you've got Huda Hashim. She's another amazing like graphic interior design. She's got her Huda Arts platform. She's like killing it. Razan Idris as well. She set up. She's a curator of Sudan syllabus. And then Nawar Kamal. She's a killer. Like I love entrepreneurship again. So like the fact that she set up her NK jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
She's selling a lot of jewelry and she's like marketing and like she's really good. Then you've got Thulaf Al Amin, makeup artist. And then
Yes,
you've
I
got
love
Shah.
Sulaf. Sulaf used to teach at my school, so like we kind of knew.
Are you
Yeah,
serious?
at
That's sick.
Unity, yeah.
Okay, I know for me, I went to Cassium, Khartoum American School.
Yeah, we had beef with you guys. Sorry.
Big time. And then Shah Batal, who's a beauty blogger.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got Riham Osman. And then you've got Dalia Rubi, who's an activist. Like I know Dalia Rubi personally because I did an internship with the UN. And then last but not least is the girl I mentioned earlier, Razan Ahmed of Bougie. She's a writer, creative director, advisor, and she's one of the two original like interviewees. So yeah, so that's 20 young Sudanese women that you guys need to know about, plus a couple of honorable mentions as well, guys.
Yes, that's so important. I'm so glad that you read that out because there's a lot of people that I've never heard of, and I'm just gonna point out that a lot of them are called Razan, so maybe it's the name, you know.
That's Team Razak.
Yeah. So obviously the idea of this live show is to talk about like women in business and entrepreneurship and stuff. So how do you think that like the world of business is becoming more inclusive to women? Have
All
you
right,
touched
so
on those?
I
Mm-hmm.
like that question. It's beautiful. Right, so basically, and I spoke briefly with Maya. We touched upon about like entrepreneurship and women and stuff, and she brought up the point that like in the Sudanese economy right now, Sudanese economy is very very bad. So it's put a lot more pressure for women to go out and work and contribute and bring some income. And then also the other thing as well, like women are actually doing a lot better in businesses and like whether it's to be honest, I don't want to touch upon medical because that's very difficult unless they've got
Mm-hmm.
their own like yeah. But in terms of like people that are girls that study business, study telecom, study engineering, study things like that, they're actually like performing, or I'd say outperforming, the guys. And then also in terms of like the economic situation is forcing them to be more creative. You know what I mean? So you see like a lot more Sudanese women like buying and selling stuff and doing stuff. So, and I think that's helped, and I think that's definitely helped. And then I think as well, women are more supportive of each other. You know what I mean? And men, if you tell someone that, oh, I want to open up a place, people are like more about and about competition and like fearing for the thing. Whereas women, they're like, oh, you're selling Diab, all right, you know what? I'm gonna send it to my friends in the WhatsApp groups. You know what I mean? We'll buy, we'll sell. Whether you want to set up cupcakes, and then even like when it comes to businesses, like Sudanese guys are just so traditional with their way of thinking. So like if you look at like a road, you see like 12 cafeterias. You should like have cafeteria and like a gym and like literally even a place where like you charge people to play PlayStation, you know what I mean? And so I think that also like gives women a big advantage. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, definitely. I want to give a shout out to Sally, aka Dr. Cake Boss. She's a baker based in the UK now, and honestly, amazing. You guys should follow her. Female entrepreneurship.
100%.
Um, okay, so we have a question. What about the limitations that a lot of conservative families put on women entrepreneurs? Do you see a change in it these days? That's a good question.
Um, yeah, well, like big shout out to Dr. Cake Shop, you know what I mean? Because like this whole giveaway thing, like it's the best thing. And I keep telling like Maya every week, like, competitions
Hmm.
are what drive traffic, you know what I mean? So like that really made it viral. And you're doing an amazing job, and I support you a lot. And that's like a big sign of entrepreneurship, you know what I mean? Like, because you need to get people's attention, you need to get people
Yeah.
talking about you. And it definitely, so in terms of the question, like, I don't know, like for me personally, because I come from a very different background to a lot of other people. You know what I mean? Like in my
Hmm.
family, like I grew up at Ahfad University. You know what I mean? Like every holiday I go back to Sudan. My mom's house is within, the Ahfad University block. My mom's mom is a teacher. She used to teach at School of Math in University of Khartoum. My mom's dad was the headmaster of Ahfad. My mom's brothers teach. So in terms of like FGM, in terms of like women working, in terms of women's like rights, in terms of women like being able to
Hmm.
work and stuff like that, I mean, that's sort of the mentality that I grew up with. You know what I mean? But I know it's very difficult, so I don't really want to advise people that are in that. But I don't know, like, I think with this new Sudan, I think like if we like, to be honest, I think the older generation, like, it's a lost cause. You can't really teach a dog new tricks. So I think we just need to focus on the education, focus on the youth, focus on, to be honest, and I say people that are like 30, 32 and older, like,
Hmm.
the thing is, people don't understand. Sudan is very valuable because Sudan is the only country in Africa where 60, 70% of the population is 35 and younger, right? And from that 60, 70%, that's 35 and younger, 50% of that is 18 and younger. Like we've got such a young population, and that population is one that's going to make it different. Because the problem is, like, if you look at all the political institutions, if you look at all the business institutions, if you look at all the educational institutions, the person that's running it is like in their 70s and 80s. You know what I mean? Like,
Definitely.
sorry about that. I just got a phone call.
If we look at our
Sorry
parliament,
about
like
that.
they're all old. It's all right.
Everyone is super.
No. Yeah, I was wondering if that was just me. Ashraf, we can't hear you.